Game 2, we saw Edge with a champion who can impact team fights through mobility in the Realm War really cost his team more than it aided his team. And now we have the Talia, which, yes, has definitely picked up in priority ever since Crown brought it back at IEM Gyeonggi. But gone are the days where level 1, you push in every champion, you can just have space to roam at every moment. You need to be really on point with your usage of the Weaver's Wall to justify the fact that it's not quite the same power level of Talia as it was back on release. So let's look for execution from Edge. Execution missing in Game 1 needs to be on point in Game 2 because Corki far more straightforward to play than Talia.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see how he does, because I mean we've seen a lot of mixed performances with this Talia so far. Fly has tried it out first game.
Even he's had his ups and downs.
The Weaver's Wall was really, the use of that was really atrocious from him in his first game. Kind of brought it back as he played it again. But Edge struggling with those Realm Warps. We'll see how he's going to do now with this Weaver's Wall. So we have those two, you know, globals coming out. We have the Void Rush from Rek'Sai, the Weaver's Wall from Talia. So both of them can rush to assist their other laners. We'll see how those are going to be used to impact. I want to see Bless apply some more pressure in the early game, something that was really lacking. If it comes down to BBQ having to rely on nothing but smites again in this game, it's going to be a really rough time for them.
Definitely agree. Kongdoo. It's not season on the line, but it's starting to feel like it, Achilles. The matchups only get harder. The schedule only gets harder for Kongdoo Monster.
That it does. But let's go ahead and see if they can keep their hopes alive or if they're going to lose out. BBQ, another win on the board. Let's get on to the rips for Game 2. And here we are.
She missed. BBQ make a frisky move in bot. Totoro was already chunked out. I guess they were trying to rush to the second lane brush and look for a cheeky gank with Nautilus. It'd have two CCs at level 1. Gugur is the oldest player on the lineup of Kongdoo Monster, and I'm guessing from that cake that this is the last match day before his birthday in a couple of days' time.
Yeah, looks like it.
He'll be turning 23.
The BBQ fans out here yet again, having those banners up.
Look on the BBQ side of the stadium, certainly is the more packed side. This team, if they win here 2-0, they actually move to 3-1, a record bettered only by KT Rolster and SKT. The BBQ Olivers, ESC ever. Now, my bold prediction after one series last season was that I'm like, ESC ever is going to have a big one, guys. Almost got relegated. Didn't look so good there. NA analyst play from me. But then
we're like,
this
BBQ
year,
Olivers looks like maybe the worst team in LCK.
So I was just ahead of the meta. You know how Faker 5 minutes before calls the kill? 5 seconds before he's like, I got him. I was one season early.
Okay.
Come on.
You keep telling yourself that. Make your excuses.
My glass is so half full, Achilles.
Oh boy. Your glass is spilling over with
predictions.
Well, I was going to say with excuses, but sure.
Korea's going to win Worlds. I got in there early.
I mean, that could be a prediction for next season as well. It works both ways with that one. Plus, he takes a little bit of harass there as Gugur pushes in. But he'll be quite comfortable to continue on through the jungle. See how Punch is going to handle on this Elise. The Lee Sin and the Elise, these are the two big picks for him in the jungle. These two big comforts.
And it feels like this is one of those games where the jungler really will decide the game because everything else is very balanced. In the bot lane, sure, Varus and Zyra have the wave clear advantage, but Misfortune does interact very well against the Zyra. In the mid lane, farm wars, top lane, tank wars. So it feels like jungle pathing can really unlock an advantage and a snowball for one side or the other. You called it well in the pre-game that neither jungler was really making a lot of moves when it came to ganks. First blood was very late, around 15 minutes in Game 1. Seen some really good Elise performances recently. Crash, for example, started getting experimental with the Elise over the other picks like the Kha'Zix and showed good levels of performance on that. No such luck in this game.
See if we get our proto belt Elise coming back in.
Come back, Peanut. We miss you. We miss you at OGN. It's been a while.
Yeah. We haven't seen SKT for quite a bit. We won't until next Thursday, I don't think, so.
But that's a big one, Achilleos. They're playing against Africa next Thursday, so everyone, I mean, from everyone I talked to is like, man, that part of the intro when Faker and Marin face off.
It's the moment in the intro video, so you have to be excited for it. Even with Africa's less than stellar performances so far, it's still going to be a very good match.
But look, Kongdoo Monster have had woes. I wouldn't say Africa have had woes. They're really good at the blue side, so that's something, you know?
Yeah, they are.
We'll see them today. If they win 2-0 today, that would be, well, sorry, they would have then broken the curse of the red side.
We'll see who they start in the jungle. I think they will be starting on the blue side, so I can take an educated guess as to who we'll see come out. Whether or not that certain someone can get his hands on Olaf will be yet to be seen.
I hope we see Mowgli again, whether it's this game in red side, but just consider that we had someone like Ghost that played one ever game competitive with CJ Entus and then never played again.
Oh, crazy. Really aggressive walk down,
Nice
gets the rush line in on the edge. And he'll pop both summoner spells, so TP used by Crazy, and he's still close enough to top lane, but now he's going to have to flash out, Seize Punch coming around the sideline, so maybe not going quite as cleanly as he would have liked, but getting the Ghost Flash away from Edge, still going to be a very nice pickup.
It really surprised him with the timing. You often see those Nautilus roams, but they're at level 6, not level 5.
Oh boy, here comes Bless, flash away by Soul to avoid that on Burrow. Will keep himself safe. Ghost's going to take a lot of harass, pops the heal to try to get away from the roots, but they still snatch him up, but there's no follow-up from Soul, so he'll be all right for the time being. Totoro going back, which means that Ghost is going to be in a bit of a painful position as these waves just keep crashing in. He can't clear them out quickly, and the turret is taking a lot of damage.
Already more action than we were treated to in game 1, so that's cool to see.
Yeah, quite a bit. Bless visited a lane.
And Crazy visited a lane as well.
Woo! All right, we're just popping off in here now.
Gugur.
Crazy. Ooh, Bless goes in. Gugur gets rooted, and that's going to be first blood. All right, we were talking about action. There we go. Nicely done by Bless, sticking around, seeing that recall, and just bad times for Gugur.
Yeah, Gugur was window shopping. Didn't react on the map at all. No movements from the Zyra. Right at the tail end of the recall. Didn't make it to the 0.5 seconds of untargetability. Nice timing there from Bless, but unnecessarily aggressive recall from Gugur is punished.
Yep. So that's going to be an unfortunate start here for Kongdoo, who definitely needed to come into this game with clear heads. So losing that first blood significantly earlier on than we saw in game 1 could affect them. Mountain Drake is there to kick things off. We saw a very early take on the Ocean for Kongdoo. Playing on the blue side, but not sure how much attention we'll see paid to this early on. I expect it's probably going to be about 13, 14 minutes before we see that dragon taken by anyone.
Yeah, I mean, if the first time that Edge looks for a roam, I imagine Tent will be returning to lane with the package. So unless Talia can really cause a lot of pressure bottom and allow deep wards to be put down, the other lanes are so even that it feels like the vision will never be there to actually allow for a safe Drake take. So it does feel like the first Drake could be a much later one, irrespective of what type it is. Mountain is one of the more prized Drakes. Laning phase likely to be extended, barring some more fruitful ganking like Bless was able to make do with in the last couple of minutes.
I think he's going to have to come down bot just to alleviate the pressure here. He goes really struggling. Has that refilled potion, still has a charge on it to try to keep himself healthy here, but the constant onslaught of roots and arrows just being fired at him. It's a lot to deal with as the very slow Jhin. Bless is getting invaded on here by Punch. That's going to be the good landing. We'll be able to get the spike to make sure that his Gromp doesn't get stolen away, but he takes a lot of damage in that exchange.
Yeah, nice to see Edge first on the roam as well. Aris has that significant wave clear advantage that MF clearly hasn't been able to prop up, so now the bot lane turret is chunked out. Now objectives like even their own blue buff are too difficult to contest.
Good pressure yet again by Kongdoo. This is something that we saw from them at the beginning and into the mid-game of game 1, but it started slipping up for them. So a little inching forward there. A minor victory. That's them a blue buff over for Edge. So they'll be happy with that pickup, but will translate into much more for the moment.
You say what they turn it into It's the big
It's
story.
going to be a gank on the edge is what it is. Flash forward. They pop him up with the unburrow. A kill comes through for Bless yet again. 2-0 on that Rek'Sai. Just making things happen. And that could lead to a dragon, perhaps, that Weaver's Wall being down.
That was actually a really creative gank. So what happened was Tempt recalled, picked up the package, and then chilled at his own turret, leaving up a couple of minions, not going to the minion wave, allowing Rek'Sai to get in position, and understandably, Edge move forward to try and get some information. Where's the Corki at? I don't know. I'm going to push the turret and get the minion wave there. The moment that he pushed the minion wave into turret, Rek'Sai's in position. Corki can come in from off the screen with the package. I was hoping for Edge and Punch to show us the latest iteration of mid-lane jungle synergy, but it's once again been Tempt and Bless, who are clearly much more on the same page than their opponents.
Yep. Nicely done by them. That's going to give a very slight lead of about 1,000 gold here for BBQ. And they will start stretching a pretty nice CS lead after that kill here for Tempt, 92-76. That's going to be a nice early start for Corki as he just tries to get towards that Trinity Force as early as possible. We saw in the first game, hit the Trinity Force, hit that Infinity Edge with his Sork boots, but wasn't really having that big burst potential. But getting rolling like this early on seems like this could be a completely different game for Tempt in the early.
Agree with that, but again, didn't get the max value out of the Trinity Force spike like we so often see with Corkies, because it was actually Kongdoo Monster who were dictating the pace of game one. Didn't end up mattering in the late game, so they weren't punished for missing out on a certain timing window. Remains to be seen whether they'll be punished in this game, despite the fact that Kongdoo have been on the front foot in more ways than they were in game one.
Roach making use of the plants here on Summoner's Rift. Blast Cone into Honey Fruit. Get himself that added little bit of sustain so he can stick around. You can see that Crazy has been giving him a rough time. Meanwhile, Punch, he gets knocked up and looks like he's going to go down. Bullet time comes through, but he repels. He's got nowhere to go. Flash forward by Ghost to come up with a kill. 3 on the board now for BBQ. Curtain call coming through. Edge going to try to take the Weaver's Wall out, but the Gatling gun pushes him off immediately, and the final shot flies straight and true. 2 kills, a double now for Ghost. They lose the turret.
More as well,
But
Achilles.
yeah, they're going to be looking for more. Crazy coming around the side, pops the death charge in onto Googer. The root going to be avoided, but he flashes in, gets rooted down by Crazy. Now flash forward, just a lock-in soul. Another kill picked up as Totoro goes down. 4 across the board, erased off of Summoner's Rift, and Kongdoo Monster really struggling. Tempt getting a lot of damage onto that mid-tier 1, and you have to expect that they'll be able to knock down the 1 in bottom very shortly.
In a moment, BBQ get everything. They had a smart ward on the Drake. They saw Punch walk in. The last invade from Punch had gotten so much of an advantage and pressure. This one is punished in just the most way possible. Got the kills, get the inside track onto mid, maybe not take that turret, but get the mid lane turret super low. Nice deep teleport again from Crazy. They take the Mountain Drake. This game went from 3 to 10 on the scale super, super fast. You can watch the whole thing play forward, and after once again call out kind of a poor execution from Edge, he tries to ult away from the fight, even though any damage, whether it was the Gatling gun in melee range or the ultimate from Jin, would have interrupted it. So he would not have been able to open up any space.
Well, Bless miss-smiting right there. Punch is able to come away with the red buff, so minor victory for him as Kongdoo rotate their bottom lane and jungler up to the top side of the map to try to get rid of this tier 1 turret and keep the objectives coming in. But yeah, massive misplay by Edge. That's the sort of thing that you do when you try out Talia for the first time when she's released. Like, oh, okay, damage takes me off the wall. So, rough stuff for him so far. He's just going to keep falling further and further behind. Now Bless going forward, trying to get that burrow in onto Punch. Full time gets opened up by Totoro. Doesn't find much damage. Tempt has to back off with the Valkyries. He takes too much damage. A bunch of members here of Kongdoo Monster 4 grouping up, trying to shove BBQ off of this turret so they can take it.
It was a nice seismic shove from Edge that got that damage onto Tempt. Is able to pop a couple of charges of his corrupting potion and get out. Kongdoo, to their credit, not hanging back, not completely accepting the pressure is significantly in the advantage of BBQ and still trying to make plays around the map.
This is where it becomes that intricate balance of trying to make plays and not overstepping your boundaries.
I mean, look at the wards. Control ward on near the enemy Raptors, defensive control ward. They also have the global advantage in mid, so I think they've definitely dotted their I's and crossed their T's in terms of preparing for the map movement they've made. And the gold lead also isn't overwhelming yet. It is only 1,500 gold or so.
It's just worrisome if you're Kongdoo Monster.
The worrying trend meme is an old one, a venerable one, but
it checks out, sir.
Let's check out Kongdoo Monster right now.
You can see, even with those kills coming through for Ghost, the assists as well, still struggling against this pressure from Varus, understandably so. He's just innately going to have much more pushing power. And coming back in, has the package ready to go. Bless is waiting in the wings as he works his way into this lower side of the jungle of Kongdoo's. Does he want to go for a play? That is the question. Red buff going to be started up. Punch. We'll be able to spot this. He throws out the Spiderling in a ward, but doesn't want to push into contest. Knows the tempt is nearby, and that he could jump on him in an instant. So it's just going to go ahead and be relegated to taking his Raptors.
It's fun to track how BBQ play out the game with a very similar comp, Game 2 to the one in Game 1, but a very different position in the game. Noted that they didn't have this sort of a lead in Game 1, and then just were able to execute team fights better despite the compositional advantage that Kongdoo Monster had and win the game regardless. This time they actually do have the sort of lead you're looking for with a double AD comp, with the earlier power spike Nautilus compared to the team fighting god in the late game of Maokai. So invasions have been on point. The ward coverage, though, isn't where you'd want it to be. I feel like if this was KT Rolster, there'd be a lot more deep wards. But the wards line is very shallow on the side of BBQ, and also they just haven't invested in control wards. There's none on the map. Maybe one, actually, from Totoro on the top side. The only one on the map, and they need more than that.
Yeah. Just have that one deep ward next to the Raptor camp in the bottom side of the Kongdoo Monster's jungle, so definitely have not been prioritizing vision. And that's something that we were, kind of talking about that was really good for Kongdoo Monster at the start of last game, was their vision control. You can see they do have considerably more wards on the map to make their, wandering around safer. Bless hovering up top here. Goes in. That's going to be a TP coming in on Burrow. Gets onto Soul. Curtain call going to be opened up. Gugar's going to have to body block this, but he's still so squishy on the Zyra. Gets locked up by Crazy with the dredge line, and they'll take him out. Punch as well. Tries to get in to finish off Totoro, but he goes down before that's able to happen. And it looks like this might just be a clean sweep by BBQ. They take out 4, only lose Totoro in the end. Edge arrives to try to dissuade them from taking this turret, but I don't know how much work he can really do. Tempt is here. Ghost has those crit shots coming through, and this is going to go down no matter what he tries.
Yeah, I'm using the brute force approach is one you can take when you have the Goldie. They couldn't do this in the previous game because they hadn't had the clean early game they've managed to put forward in Game 2. So despite not putting down the vision, despite when it comes to going for the tutorial victory, not really covering themselves in glory, sometimes you can just get a lead, ult in, and make things work. So nice engage from Bless, decisive. It's so decisive as you need. It was first the Chilling Smite into the flash on Burrow, and nobody's body blocking when it's Zyra and Jhin. Everyone has to run away. Zyra and Varus, sorry, and they turn around and just have the earlier power spikes. Trinity Force Corki goes wild as Tempt wants to pick up some kills, and good stuff from BBQ.
I mean, at this point, the only person that can body block is Roach. Punch is not tanky. He has just a Giant's Belt, no way to mitigate the damage coming out of Ghost, who now has a BF sword, double longsword in the inventory. So he is going to be ripping through any other member of Kongdoo Monster. So then you have to just rely on trading back and forth on the curtain call shots. And when you're getting slowed up by them, that just becomes so increasingly dangerous. And you can see Kongdoo, they just keep slipping further and further behind, especially with an Infernal Drake coming in with BBQ to complement that mountain that they've already garnered for themselves.
And BBQ don't have a lot of initiation. Sure, they have the Deadly Flourish from Jhin, but it kind of had to be the flash on Burrow to force a fight. Maybe that's why Kongdoo felt like they could actually extend as far as they did in top, because, the strategic disadvantage that you pointed out is that the only person who can take the curtain call is Maokai, and he's the person with teleport least likely to be grouped with his team. So because of the lack of initiation, they thought maybe they could get away with it. Blast was on form. He started a fight that Kongdoo honestly had no tools to be able to repel. And now the scoreline is 10-1. The gold's not massively ahead, but the pressure, it might not be reflected in wards, but every time we see a team fight, multiple kills to BBQ and a meager showing on the side of Kongdoo.
Yeah, and I mean, the main reason that we're not seeing that massive gold lead coming out is because BBQ, they've gotten these kills. I mean, they're absolutely destroying Kongdoo in that regard, but they haven't been able to transition that into turrets yet. They have that second dragon. Now another Mountain Drake is getting ready to come up in about 5.5 minutes. So once they start knocking down these turrets, that's when we're going to see that gold lead absolutely explode in their favor. But Kongdoo Monster, while they still have that map control, this is their opportunity to try to claw their way back in. But they need better vision control. They need to know where Bless is at all times because, like you said, he's the go button. If he gets that unburrow, that flash unburrow, onto a squishy member of Kongdoo, which right now is pretty much anybody that's not named Roach, then they're just going to keep falling further and further behind. And they won't be able to close out this game, and that's going to set them on an 8-match loss streak. 8-game loss streak, I should say.
I mean, if I was Kongdoo Monster, because it does feel like they do have some breathing room to make plays around the map, I'd like to see Edge visit a side lane. When we see people like Crown play the Taliyah, they're very happy to enter side lanes, just put Varus, Zyra on wave clear duty in mid, and roam around with the Taliyah. It moves so fast around the edge of the map with the rock surfing passive, also has the semi-global with the Weaver's Wall. Varus can do the job of Taliyah in the mid lane just fine when it comes to wave clear. Actually, is a better wave clear because it doesn't have to deal with the worked ground. And in the long laning phase in bot, because remember, they already have the bot lane turret down in bot, do Kongdoo Monster. Taliyah has a lot of room to chase and put out damage, because won't be on worked ground when she's moving around the map. But if you just park Edge in mid lane, Taliyah doesn't really get much done. So, this feels like even with the tools they have, Kongdoo don't seem to have an idea of how to move themselves forward in the game. They're just kind of waiting for BBQ, and specifically Bless's Flash to be back up, and then have a fight dictated to them for the upteenth time today.
We'll decide where they decide to go. Well, we'll see where they decide to go. Ghost. And looks like the majority of BBQ starting to kind of group up around mid, but Tempt, he'll start gravitating towards top where the wave is starting to push in towards that tier 2 turret. Crazy and Roach still duking it out forever. The eternal battle happening in the bottom lane as that tier 1 is still standing for Kongdoo Monster. And that's the thing that I'm surprised we haven't seen from BBQ so far, is we haven't seen the group up, pushes onto these structures. They got rid of that mid-tier 1. That could really free them up to roam down to the bottom lane and get rid of that. But at this point, I guess they could be mildly concerned about a Baron attempt if they all go down bottom. But it seems like it would be such a risk for Kongdoo with how squishy everyone is.
Yeah, I don't think a Baron, as you're saying, is a realistic objective. Just like when we were talking about tanking up the Curtain Call, the only person to take up the Baron is Roach.
Just because it's unrealistic doesn't mean teams don't go for it. We've seen it time and time again. Look at Dignitas.
It's true. The time-honored throw decision is always a potential, but if you're the enemy team and waiting for the enemy to make a throw, that's pretty happy times too. I think they're just honestly thinking about turning on the Baron themselves. They have the Rek'Sai, who can start the tank and then just have Nautilus teleport in and finish the job.
I think if they get a pick on pretty much anybody, that'll be the go button for the Baron.
And that strategy, that general strategy worked for them in Game 1, so why not again? It's just very hard to send 4 members bot after 20 minutes. It's just...
Oh, really good game sense there by Tempt. Says, I haven't seen anybody in a while. I'll just toss out a rocket.
It's not the percentage play to send multiple members. That's why you see teams kind of end up just keeping their outer bot lane turret a lot longer than you might expect.
He's got to be careful, though. There's this control ward sitting in the top lane. If they're able to collapse on top of him and maybe use a TP, they could get a kill on him. Oh, sees it now. So, never mind. There goes that potential play.
Oh, good. I was worried that there might be reasons to make big plays in this series.
It's good for BBQ, bad for us.
I can go back to considering what flavor of ice cream I want later.
Oh, is that going to be the big Saturday night for Papa Smith?
Well, there was no fried chicken, so I think that frees me up for some ice cream.
All right.
I'm very health conscious, as you know, Achilles. Fried chicken and ice cream, it turns out the doctor's not impressed with that.
Yeah, I'm actually, as sad as I am, I'm also slightly relieved that there's no fried chicken today, because that would have been 4 days in a row that I've eaten nothing but chicken.
Don't have to adjust that waistband too fast.
We had 2 wing nights in a row, and then I ordered fried chicken yesterday, not even thinking about it.
Was it BBQ?
It was not, actually.
Oh, we can't talk about other brands. You know how.
I won't name it. But Bless is gonna get caught out in the jungle. Takes about half of his HP in damage, but he'll still be quite all right. You can see the Mountain Drake, the second one, if they're able to pick this up, is spawning. And Kongdoo Monster clearly not ready to commit to a fight over this one. Soul goes in with a recall. They're going to get some vision control over Baron in the meantime.
And this is definitely, when you take a second Mountain Drake, the alarm bells really are there when it comes to BBQ turning onto a Baron. Now Rek'Sai is a soul tank. The moment he finishes an armor item, might be the Randuin's or the Dead Man's Plate with the giant spell he has in the infantry. He can tank enough for Corki and the Jhin to shred down that Baron.
Man, what's with the trade back on the dragons today? Went Ocean Infernal, Ocean Infernal. Now we have Mountain Infernal, Mountain Infernal.
When you said trade back, I assumed there was some sort of like deal where you could trade 2 Oceans for an Infernal or something like that.
That would be a nice system.
I don't know what the graphical overlay would look like. I guess you in the shop, you just go to the shopkeeper.
Who decides to do that exchange? Because if you're in solo queue, you could really troll pretty hard depending on who's allowed to do that.
It's a good question. Designate a captain before the game, and he's the only one who's allowed.
4 clouds for an Infernal.
I don't know if they'd have unequal trades, but it does feel like sometimes they should. It needs to be a bad deal. It's like when you play the blind boxes and the currency you get back is way less than the cost of things, as you see in many games like Hearthstone, for example. Has to be the same thing, I guess. 3 for 1 is probably the trade, not the 2 for 1.
I would make that trade pretty much any day.
It would be bad, but sometimes you just need that extra 8% AD and AP, Achilles.
Yeah, and then you get into that game in solo queue, and it's like, oh my god, we got 3 Infernals and a Mountain Drake, and then somebody on your team is just like, now we have nothing but clouds.
All right, the Baron that we were alluding to is going down very, very fast. Kongdoo need to be decisive. That teleport's too late.
It's way too late. Gugar's the only one that's able to walk up, and the Baron doesn't even need a smite. It's just going to be taken out by Ghost. They're immediately going to go ahead, pop Gugar, just get rid of that Zyra, get rid of that big AoE control. Punch is able to finish off Tempt, however, and Bless is low. He's going to have to exit. Roach going into the pit, jumps on top of Ghost, knocks him down low. He flashes up to the backside of the wall. Sapling comes out, but it's not going to catch him. Not going to be able to finish him off. And now it's Crazy versus 3. Can he come up with the kill onto Punch? They're locking him down. It doesn't look likely. And Soul goes into the back line. He's able to go ahead. He finishes off Bless. Let's see. Threaded volley getting tossed out. Totoro nowhere to go. He will go down. 4 members of BBQ fall after they take the Baron. Not bad if you're Kongdoo Monster.
The attempt was caught right at the start of the fight, died with flash and exhaust up. So we watched this. We talked about how the teleport was too late. Certainly was. Double Mounted Inferno makes it so hard to judge how fast the Baron will go down. And this should have been a 1 fight, but Roach actually gets on top of Tempt in mid-Valkyrie. Isn't able to turn, nothing he can do. And then because Roach is finally the super tank that was absent from game 1, Ghost ended up channeling the Curtain Call for about 8 seconds, not doing damage to anyone because he was looking for a shot around or behind the Maokai. So no damage from Ghost on the back end. The other AD carry dead. There's no damage outside of those 2. So Kongdoo definitely made the most of what wasn't a great situation for them. Recall was channeled by Ghost. No such luck for Totoro. Still advantage over to BBQ, but about the best you could hope for Kongdoo Monster.
Oh, for sure. I mean, getting rid of 4 of those Baron buffs is going to be really crucial. Cuts down on that split push potential, because you won't have those 2 waves of Baron-empowered minions coming in. Now it's just Ghost that has it. They're still in a pretty comfortable position here, almost 5,000 gold up, but you've definitely stopped that gap from becoming significantly larger, even in turrets at the moment. So Kongdoo, they get a second lease on life.
And BBQ finally like, okay, the Baron's down, maybe we can send more than 1 person bottom lane. So this turret that, given the game, should have been down about 15 minutes ago, is finally assaulted. That will grow the gold lead. It's about 5,000 now.
It's about time we saw that one fall. And BBQ, how long do they want to stick around with this one? Edge is there to clear out the wave, so it looks like the answer is not very long. But Wave pushing up in mid. This is where Ghost is at. They want to play around these Baron minions. They will be shoving up. Depth charge gets popped in onto Soul. Room with a deadly flourish. Roach coming in on the front. Locks down Crazy, but neither tank taking very much damage. Temp eats that piercing arrow to the face. That's going to knock him down to about half. So BBQ, they have to be careful if they're going to stick around. Because, again, there's so much wave clear on the side of Kongdoo Monster. Plus getting found on the side. Gets popped in with the seismic shove down to half HP. Gonna have to try to exit as best as he can. Looks like he will be able to make it out, but barely so. Bullet time comes through. Roach right in the thick of things is Crazy. Locks him up with the dredge line, and that's gonna be a kill coming through for Ghost. Curtain call just chipping away at 3 members, but won't be able to come up with a kill. They'll take away this blue buff in the end. But looks like they might not be able to get this turret quite yet.
Yeah, that time they got through the front line. Finally, the Maokai is chopped down, but no minion waves, so only a blue buff to show for the pick. Ended up being initiated by Bless, getting caught out. Gotta say, the Twisted Advance into the seismic shove is a nice initiation and pretty hard to mess up, given the targeted nature of Twisted Advance between Maokai and Taliyah. Haven't seen that interaction too many times so far this season. Do feel a bit robbed that we haven't seen more from Tempt on this Taliyah, but speaking of Tempt,
goes in, pops the package, and the Valkyrie trying to get in range of punch, gets a little bit of damage onto him, but it's fairly minute in the end of things. Roach is back up, and now has a Guardian Angel purchased for himself. So, have to kill him effectively twice if they want to stick around. The Baron buff is gone. So the wave clear is that much easier for the side of Kongdoo, and they'll just be looking to hold on to this turret.
looks like it's going to have to be turret dives on the side of BBQ.
Looks like it's going to have to be a second Infernal Drake.
That's true. That would be another place they might actually force a fight. But they do have Rek'Sai and Nautilus for turret dives, so even though the wave clear of Varus Taliyah is very formidable.
Oh, Ghost goes into the pit, starts up the Dragon. Bless is going to follow in. They don't have vision on the backside of this pit, but they have plenty of damage with which to get rid of that. So double Infernal Drake, double Mountain here for BBQ. You would have to think that even without the Baron, they have the tools necessary to really knock down these inner structures. But Kongdoo Monster, they're definitely making them work for it.
I think it's one of those scenarios where the Drakes have been pretty much ideal. I mean, maybe you could argue 3 Infernals would be nicer. As Cougar, once again, Crazy looks for an ult.
Yeah, Dredge Line's going to come through. Deadly Flourish connects, and Crazy, he's just going to whack him with that anchor. Comes up with another kill.
When they line up so well, Achilles, now,
goes
low!
Yeah, goes low. That's going to be the Twisted Advance over the wall, locks him down, pops him with eventual Maelstrom in the end. Roach finding that one. Crazy getting knocked back in, flashes away, but the Guardian Angel gets popped, and he is in a really rough spot. Tempt just now arriving to the fight, and Roach is the only one that Crazy is able to grab for the moment. Looks like he will be able to walk out safely with the arrival of the Corki. But GA down for him. That's going to be a very major pickup for Kongdoo Monster.
Yeah, Roach's GA, and now his target selection is one of the things that Kongdoo Monster really have in their corner. So Cougar caught out. He thought, okay, this is going to be the pick. There's no Baron, but Baron Vision's going to come down. Watch Roach on the minimap. Not someone who's really had many highlight plays this season. Was able to come through into the Raptor Brush, flash over, killed off Ghost. Just coming back to the Drakes, because it's 4 Drakes, now both Baron and the Elder Drake are must fight for Kongdoo Monster, and either of those bots, and certainly both, will be a big enough go button for the turret dive to happen. Because if you mess up a turret dive against this tanky Maokai, you can actually be aced if you're BBQ. So you need that extra objective, whether it's a 4 Drake buff Elder Dragon or the Baron, to really empower a turret dive that looks possible, but looks a lot more likely to come off successfully with those buffs.
Yeah. Well, we're still a ways away from the Elder Dragon coming up, so Baron will be the prize in the eyes of both of these teams. A lot of vision control here for BBQ. They have everything around this pit warded up and are just getting even more deep vision inside the jungle of Kongdoo Monster. If they so much as sneeze in the direction of this Baron, BBQ will be aware of it.
But BBQ haven't impressed me in vision control, I have to say. Specifically their control wards. They need to consider getting more of them on the map at any one time. We're 33 minutes in, and we've got 1, I want to say. It's very hard to tell when you've got traps and also the tunnels on the map. I believe it's a single control ward straight on top of the Baron, maybe one in the pit as well. We do have small monitors, guys. Can't tell for sure, but it looks like just a single one.
It's 2 for Kongdoo, and they have one in the top lane still. That one got replaced and standing strong, so that could be a TP flank position if they wanted it. Roach is here, however, with the team.
Nautilus doesn't have Iceborne Gauntlet, so pushing is very slow. That's taking a lot of damage, basically his whole health bar.
Soul, he's going to throw out the Chain of Corruption. Full time gets opened up. Bless going to flash away. The repel is there. Punch comes down, straight on top of Ghost, trying to finish him off. Vengeful Maelstrom comes through, and that is going to be the Jhin going down immediately. Crazy is not able to arrive in time to save his life, and he's got no mana, no flash available. He's going to die. 3 members picked up, one of them with a smite. You have to think Kongdoo Monster just earned themselves a Baron.
And BBQ, their setups really leave a lot to be desired. Totoro might die to this. Falls down to a single-digit health. Baron almost certainly going over, barring some one of the best rockets you'll ever see. Well, who try for it?
Nope, Roach is there to body block, so no Piglet plays coming through from Temps. Cannot get the steal, and Kongdoo Monster yet again hanging on for dear life.
So Maokai was drawn down so they could fight for vision because they had someone who could face check. Bless assumes that he can walk into damage. There's plenty of damage on the side of Kongdoo, and the Weaver's Wall separates threats. Actually a really smart Weaver's Wall, as it allows Edge to just focus fire, and Crazy shows up the fight, teleports in, no health, no mana, no chance. I gotta say, in many different ways, BBQ impressed me, but specifically vision control, they have a lot to work on.
Yeah, and Bless getting taken out by that Baron in the end has to feel pretty bad. Aggroed it with the Unburrow, and now BBQ fighting from the back foot. They still have a lead, but it's so small at this point with this Baron buff on pretty much everybody here from Kongdoo Monster. They have all 5 available. Stretch line connects onto Roach, still has a Guardian Angel. They're going to really commit in to try to pop this, but they can't get much damage on him. He's going to try to turn this around. Big seismic shove, knocking in Bless and Crazy. They both go low, trying to walk their way out. Totoro opens up with a bullet time, and the package won't find much. Cole gets a big burst of damage in the back. Temp trying to make his way in. Can he find the damage? Has to flash away from the Zyra ultimate. One big one. Might be able to take him out, but it's not going to hit. And Totoro goes down, but he's able to take Edge out with him. So far, it's going to be a 2-for-1 in favor of BBQ, and looks like it is enough to dissuade Kongdoo Monster from pushing in for the turret.
I mean, these fights are so insane because the frontliners are insanely tanky, and the backliners are so squishy that when Tempt went for that aggressive Valkyrie, could have been an instant triple kill with how he turned. Roach is level 18 and honestly is carrying his team on his back because it doesn't matter how many Infernal Drakes you have, no one can get through Roach in the front line. The rest are going to try to play around it. Totoro here cuts off Soul from doing any damage in the fight because he's squishy. He can't stand in the bullet time, even from a support Misfortune. And it ends up being really, really even between the two. 1-for-1 support from mid lane, you'll take that if you're BBQ.
They also got the GA, but now BBQ still trying to keep the pressure up. Roach is in the top lane, has the TP, but he's not using it. They just have to go ahead and concede this Elder Dragon. 4 buffs going over to BBQ now. See Curtain Call opened up, won't find anybody, but Temp just absolutely annihilates Guger, wipes him off the face of the earth.
Make sure that to remember that every single tick of even the Gatling gun is applying 4 stacks of the true damage from that Elder Drake. The buff duration was lengthened as well. I think Crazy's going to wait for a minion wave, ult the nearest person, and they're going to try and break at least an inhibitor line.
And things were looking good for Kongdoo, but now with that Elder Dragon, they might be right back to square one. Soul trying to poke out Temp to keep him away from this turret so he can't utilize that Triforce. They still have the wave clear that is very reliable for them. Try to stave this off, utilize these Baron-empowered minions while they still have them. But it won't be for that much longer. Crazy bringing up the wave in bottom yet again. Looks like they're just going to go ahead, concede the tier 2 turret, as no one can really go answer him. Edge is wandering his way down, but I think this might just be going over. No, Crazy's going to peel back.
Nautilus has gone Abyssal Scepter as his only offensive item, so doesn't have that Iceborne Gauntlet once again that will make him a threat onto structures. That's why I expected the turret dive. Group with the Nautilus, ult someone, anyone other than the Maokai, and look for a structure. But they end up getting nothing from the Elder Drake. Very important that Baron was still up on some members. So it meant that it was much slower to push. If they end up negating a 4-stack Elder Dragon with the Baron, that's battle 1 for Kongdoo Monster.
Yeah, pretty big win. It's already almost 3/4 of the way finished. And you can see it's just so hard to get a wave up to a tower with Soul there. These full 6 items on this Varus. So they need a massive depth charge from Crazy. He has that Guardian Angel back available for him. So he could make a much more aggressive play than we've seen in the last couple minutes here.
Usually double AD with a 4-stack Elder Dragon, including a Corki, is instant turrets, but obviously the Jhin not as good at proccing the true damage as other traditional AD carries.
So there they go. They finally knock down the tier 2 and top. Mid and bottom still going to be eluding them.
It's the least valuable of turrets. If you can threaten the bot lane inhibitor, you have Baron control. Mid lane opens up both lanes.
Oh.
Top lane, not quite as valuable. They got the minimum with their Elder Drake, so that's actually happy times for Kongdoo.
Yep. See if they can net much more now that the buff is gone. Really going to be pushing in towards this mid turret. Gugard knocked down to about half HP, but the wave clear is just so significant. They just cannot get close.
Hope you're enjoying this Varus meta. It's only going to be even more confirmed with the lethality buffs in 7.2. 100% pick ban, I think, is certain.
Oh boy. Cougar
Any more damage, Cougar's dead.
We have Roach here to body block. Weaver's Wall was thrown out to interrupt that last shot. So we'll be able to get that one off in time.
There's a fun ult that you can use to interrupt the curtain call you don't really consider very often. Been one consequential Weaver's Wall so far, the one that cut the team around Baron, that allowed BBQ to win a fight, but otherwise, nothing doing for Edge, really. On Weaver's Wall, at least.
And Crazy's just going to keep pushing up the bottom lane. This is,
I just don't think there's any value in a Abyssal Scepter full tank Nautilus pushing up and then backing away. He needs to push up and then look for the turret dive. It just doesn't feel like he's getting anything done with his time. Just trading farm with a Maokai who outscales him to a great degree anyway. We're kind of handed a game close in game 1 with misfires from Kongdoo Monster in team fights. That still could happen in game 2. It's just when we're talking about a team like BBQ that will be outright third after this game if they win, if they're going to justify that. So if that's not just an early season ranking, if it's actually going to be indicative of where they end the season, their ideas on how to close out this series haven't matched some of their other gameplay habits that we've seen so far.
now package picked up here for Tempt, and Baron has respawned.
Been a happy hunting ground for BBQ.
Dredgeline comes through, connects onto Punch. Do they want to commit off of this one? Crazy going into the front line, pops the depth charge in onto Cougar. He got knocked up twice in a row. Punch going low, goes up with a repel, but Ghost is able to get rid of the Zyra right off the bat of the fight. Fourth and final shot, not going to connect, but the Dredgeline comes through, locks down Edge. Deadly Flourish blocked by Roach. Looks like he's going low, doesn't quite lose his life. He is able to waltz his way out, but getting rid of Cougar, knocking so many members of Kongdoo Monster low, might be enough for BBQ to go in for the Baron. Ghost flashing forward. They're going to trade ADC for ADC. But BBQ looks like they're still going to get the Baron. I think they're going to be quite happy with that exchange. Roach TP's in, gets slowed up immediately. Can't do a damn thing. Baron goes over to BBQ. And again, we'll see if Kongdoo Monster can continue to hold on.
There's smart opening ups from BBQ. They remember that with this comp, with Double Mountain, Double Infernal, the turn onto Baron is instant. Roach thought he might be able to disrupt. Was already well dead by that time. Amusing interaction here where Punch tanks one shot and then repels, which leads to the death of his Zyra. Things are pretty even. Temp goes for another very aggressive use of the package. I'm a big fan of the duel at the end where the AD carries went 1-for-1.
Yeah, that was a true showdown. Very fitting.
Consider the health bars when this started.
Yeah, I mean, good dodge out there, knocks him down.
Deadly Flourish, auto attack Q is enough to kill Soul. Actually, it was another auto. That's a double
and then
auto.
The hail of arrows coming down with an auto to get rid of Ghost.
Honorable duel, you'd have to say.
They both drew at the same time,
Yep.
and they both hit the heart.
Well, BBQ, probably waiting for another Elder Dragon. It's not the most fun thing, but again, with no split push threat, this Nautilus not doing much. Actually, it's Rek'Sai who ends up being the split pusher.
Soul, he gets rooted immediately from the Deadly Flourish, has to back off. Curtain calls open up, but Roach is going to be body blocking. Goes low, still has the Guardian Angel available. The Weaver's Wall is tossed out to try to cut them off, but Bless is in the bottom lane, knocking down the inhibitor turret. Is able to find it, and that's going to open up for this tier 2 to go down. All of the outer turrets, all the inner turrets now taken away from Kongdoo Monster. An exposed inhibitor, but Bless cannot push forward to try to knock this down, just has to wait and try to buy time for the rest of BBQ to push in and knock down the one in mid. It's getting chunked out very steadily by Temp. Edge goes low. Dredgeline comes through, but he flashes away at the last second to keep himself safe.
Critical of their lane assignments, liked what they did there, moving the Rek'Sai, who does have AD and attack speed, to take down structures, then pushed hard in the mid lane. Finally, break that outer ring. They've got a single inhibitor, and mid lane's down to 50% HP.
See if they can find the in. Crazy going to be looking for the depth charge, getting ready to come back up. Roach goes forward with a twisted advance, tries to lock him down, but takes a heck of a lot of damage. In exchange, the GA is still available. Dredgeline connects. They really want to try to pop that as best as they can, but a seismic jump comes through onto Crazy, and they will be able to pop his GA first. Now we'll have to see if he can make his way out of here. Dredgeline, maybe he can use that to try to exit, but no, he doesn't. He's just going to go down as Edge finds the kill. Curtain call opened up at the back line, trying to get onto Soul, but it won't be able to find the shot. Gets a big chunk off of Edge.
Meanwhile,
Bless is again just splitting, this time in the top lane, has those Baron-empowered minions, knocking down that second inhibitor, and the turret crumbles in mid. BBQ putting on pressure from all sides. The super creeps getting ready to shove into the bot. Can they finish here without their tanky front line? That's the question. They might be overstaying their welcome as they try to knock down this third and final inhibitor.
Bless is literally playing a single-player RPG while everyone else is playing multiplayer on-lane battle arena, Achilleos. He went down bot lane. He's like, okay, you guys, I don't know what this Nautilus is doing. He's not taking any turrets. I'll take an inhibitor. Goes top, takes another inhibitor turret, and the inhibitor after it. Bless is making up for his team's lack of macro decision-making and indecision by taking objectives around the map, and he's not done yet. He's still on the map. He's still creating pressure. Somehow, the Nautilus, Corki, double AD, and, well, I guess triple AD almost with a Misfortune support, can't create pressure. But just one Rek'Sai. She can do it all on her own.
Oh, boy. Bless really making a statement for double MVP right now in this set. Elder Dragon now spawning in 50 seconds, and BBQ already starting to get their vision controlled around the area.
Bless has Mercurial Scimitar.
All right.
Got Mercurial Scimitar, Titanic Hydra, and the Maw Malmortius. That's the most AD I've seen on a Rek'Sai, and that includes Peanut, who loves to buy AD on everything.
He is quite aggressive. This is the type of build you would see out of those top lane Rek'Sais that were prevalent a little while ago. Cougar going to get jumped on. The up charge comes through. Deadly Flourish gets blocked by Roach, but it doesn't even matter. Bless goes in, is able to take out the Zyra attempt. Valkyrie over into that Raptor pit, just trying to knock down this tanky Maokai, get rid of that GA as best as possible. Or the final shot comes through, and actually didn't even have the GA available. Already was taken out, and Soul in the mid lane is able to kill Totoro with a piercing arrow, but they're going to trade back and forth as the Make It Rain is able to finish him off. Bless, he's not done yet.
AD
he
Rek'Sai
wants to pop that. Wants to pop that GA, is unable to find it, but now you have so many waves of super creeps coming through. Edge getting caught by the Dredgeline, locked down by the Deadly Flourish. He falls as Tempt finds the kill, what might just be the final kill of the game. As they try to turn on the punch, goes in with a repel, tries to get some damage in on the Tempt, but he's going to lose a GA. They're going to lose the Nexus, and BBQ will close out this set 2-0, putting Kongdoo Monster at 8 game losses in a row.
Yeah, not much to talk about for Kongdoo Monster, and a bit wayward for BBQ also strategically, but much better start for them. They arrested some of their slumping in the game one early game with a much stronger early game here, and thought it out in the end. Could potentially be a double MVP for their jungler, as his PvE play in this game was probably the highlight when it came to macro play, and you just add to the misery of Kongdoo Monster. 0-8 in a row after they're winning their first game of the season against Rox Tigers. A match win looks a long way away, and with pace like this, a game win could be similarly long before they can pick up their first one.
Yep. Could very well see a new record for longest loss streak here with Kongdoo Monster, because they just seem to be unable to adapt to the current meta, and not sure if 7.2 is going to fare much better for them.
If you ask me, are they a worse team than Smenu of 2015, I'd resoundingly say no. They're a much better team, but the league as a whole has increased in skill on both the macro and even personnel level that you need to be better to pick up game wins, let alone match wins. And now you're short of confidence. Now it's, again, multiple matches in a row without a single victory. And a lot of these players are young. There's not a lot of veterans. Guga, whose birthday is a couple of days' time on Tuesday, I believe, is 23, turning 23 Western age. Rest of their players are younger. They're going to need a lot of work outside of game and inside of game to turn around their season. And what started like it could be a fruitful hunting ground for Kongdoo Monster is now anything but.
Yeah. Rough couple birthdays here, as Roach just had his not too long ago as well. So definitely not the present that you want if you're Kongdoo Monsters members. It's like finding coal under the Christmas tree. But BBQ, definitely not clean. Sort of akin to the series we saw, the Game 3 of Longzhu versus Generic Green Wings, but they're able to come out with the 2-0 in the end. They have to feel good about that. That is going to temporarily place them in third, just behind SK Telecom, as they will move ever so slightly ahead of Samsung Galaxy.
And next week will be the big story for BBQ. Longzhu should be a very interesting and close series for their first of the week, and then SK Telecom, a team that at the start of the season, no one will put them anywhere near. Even right now, I would not put them anywhere near. But if they show something against SKT, if they can even hand SKT a single game loss, then maybe they really are the top 5 contenders they're positioned this early in the season to be.
Yeah. Things are looking quite good for the Olivers, but just definitely need to tighten up. The early game, something that really needs to be worked on, but I think that we can both agree vision control should be one of their biggest priorities at this stage.
The vision, as you say, wayward. I had noticed it multiple times. No one seemed to want to buy any control wards for some reason.
And poor Soul did his damnedest to try to carry this one with his team. Roach as well. Really good performance on the Maokai. Had some very good
I want to see damage to structures, because Rek'Sai certainly would have had plenty of that.
That she would have. But yeah, even if you top out the damage in the game, doesn't mean that you won. There's a good effort by Ghost and Tempt. Comes back in on that Corki and helps out. Bless, there it is. Double MVP for him today. 3, 2, and 11. 58% kill contribution, but he did a hell of a lot more than that.
He won the game. When the rest of everyone else were deathmatching, he was taking down structures. And he was probably the sole person that seemed to have that as a priority. He's now in a million-way tie for 4th at 200 points.
Yeah, I forget. I've lost track of how many people are at 200 points at the moment. There's actually even more at 100, but I mean, this was just such a good way to kick things off.
Guger's up, and look, he doesn't move. No single movement from Guger. He got that Sightstone though, so worth maybe. And this was the one that we actually missed on screen, but the timing here where Tempt stayed with the package under turret and then waited for Bless to get in position. And this is where things turn for Kongdoo, when one kill chained into many, many more after the teleports. No one could spare the Blushes of Punch, who had another series that's not really one that he's going to want to remember.
I don't really think anybody on this team wants to remember these games.
No. You can't ult away from those situations, Edge. Confirmed now on stream.
Yep. But, I mean, overall, BBQ, definitely some hesitant moments where they weren't sure where to go with it, but Bless was the one that guided their hand. He got them the win in the end.
And it's still a 2-0.
Yeah.
You know, I talk about KT Rolster, and I have very high expectations. They win 2-0, and I'm like, they're not going to be that happy because they didn't smash their opposition. They could have done more. You have to have fair expectations, and BBQ have gone from a team I didn't expect anything of to a team that wins 2-0, and I still want more. So that does bode well for BBQ as they go further and further in the season. And looking forward to an interview with Bless, a guy who, you know, was pipped for his position, didn't even play in that promotion series. It was Eris, now coach, who they preferred to him. His early game was always his strength, but his decision-making in the late game was the reason he was benched. His decision-making in the late game won them this series.
And it just seems like so many of these rookie junglers that we saw come in last year have really leveled up their performance, as well as the new ones that we see, you know, this season already. Mowgli having his first performance was pretty strong.
We'll see Umti in our next series?
Yeah, Umti as well, but Haru really leveling up from his time on CJ. So it seems like all of these junglers have really put in the work, and they're really starting to excel, whereas some of the guys that we really expected a lot from last split are the ones that are suffering, like Ambition and beyond.
Expectations are always a risky thing. BBQ, another series, another defiance of preseason expectations. And looks like we'll get an interview with that man in the jungle.
Yep, let's go ahead, throw it over to Joel for the translation. We'll get a word from our single MVP today. It's Bless.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Joel with your interview translations, and we are here with BBQ, who continues to impress us with another 2-0 victory against Kongdoo Monster. And we are here with the only MVP, a very deserving one, with Bless for the interview. Bless, you're the only MVP today. How do you feel?
되게 잘하는 것 같지 않아서 좀.
You know what? Actually, I've been feeling that I wasn't playing up to par as I really wanted to be.
실력은 제가 아직.
But I feel like, you know, I really, in a way, I don't deserve this solo MVP. All my teammates did a well job, but you know, I really thank you guys for giving me this award today.
아무래도 좀 부담이 됐을 것 같아요. 상대.
It seems like, you know, you guys really must have had a lot of pressure coming into this game, having a bad record against Kongdoo Monster coming in. Yeah, I don't know about if my other teammates felt it, but I really felt it to the heart that, you know, we had a bad record coming into Kongdoo Monster. And we feel like our laning matchups are we were always behind, but that's why I played extra harder today.
1경기 때 재밌는 장면이 많이 나왔잖아요. 초반에 약간 흔들리긴 하셨던 것 같은데.
In the first game, there was a lot of back and forth between you guys, the two teams. And what was the thing that kept you guys going with the keep maintaining the focus until the rest of the game?
강타를 잘 못 써요.
To be honest, I'm not really good with my smites, as some may already not know about, but it was a situation where I tried to keep extra focus, trying to get the smites right. And fortunately, all of them turned out to be the right result today. You see, another thing was Lee Sin, having that curse of Lee Sin that we have always been talking about. The only person to fall out of this was Peanut and you, Bless. So what do you feel about that champion?
카직스랑 리신을 하셨더라고요. 그래서 카직스는 저희가 잘랐기 때문에.
But in a situation, you know, when you had to choose between Kha'Zix and Lee Sin, and Kha'Zix was cut out. I always felt like Lee Sin is the better pick when you have considered other jungle champions, but I think from a macro standpoint, it's not a very good champion.
좋지 않은 픽인 것 같다라고 느끼시는 건가요? 뭐 승률이나 이제 느낌을 이렇게 말씀하셨는데.
Well, considering the win rates, it's not the best pick right now.
선수가 또 써야 이기는 거죠. 그런 것 같습니다. 네, 리신이 아닌 렉사이로 맹활약을 보여준 블레스 선수의 경기 영상을.
So we can see another video clip where we see Rek'Sai putting up some super plays on this one.
이 장면에서 또 많은 게 이어졌잖아요. 그렇죠. 5대4로 시작했었고.
It kind of started from this and it continued on to a series of plays that led to the win.
그냥 일단 드래곤에 약간 집중을 했고.
Yeah, I try to focus mainly on the Drake. I try to focus on the HP, trying to get the smite right.
지는 싸움인 줄 알고 좀 착각을 했더라고요.
And I think it was a situation where our teammates thought it was a losing battle going into this team fight, but I already knew that you know, if we went in aggressively on that play, that it was a winning team fight for us. So it was a situation where we could have done better.
두 경기 연달아 승리를 하긴 하셨는데 사실 경기 내용이 100% 완벽하지는.
So you got a 2-win streak again, adding on to your win streak, but it wasn't perfect series of wins today. But how do you feel about the 2 wins today, considering it wasn't the perfect series of wins today?
그때 의견이 좀 궁금합니다.
그때는 저희가 좀 유리했거든요.
We were very ahead at one point, and it was a situation where we didn't have to force the team fight, but
이거 같은 경우는 그러니까 그런 장면이 여기서는 이제 먹고 나서 대패한 장면이죠.
This is a situation where you guys got the Baron, but you lost the team fight in the end.
저희가 좀 과감할 필요가 있었던 것 같아요.
And there was a situation where I thought I guess I needed to be more aggressive than I was.
확실히 가려고 했기 때문에 좀.
And I was a little indecisive, and I think that kind of ruined my teammates' decisions on whether to go in or not.
걸로 생각이 되는데 그 선수가 좀 많이 괴로워하거나 힘들어하거나 그러진 않았나요?
Did your teammates not have a tough time being decisive on some of these plays?
여쭤보는 겁니다.
특별히 많이 맞았던 그런 콜이나 뭐 장면을 제가 못 봐서
Didn't really get to notice that what you're saying, but
보스 선수가 좀 힘들어했거든요.
it seems like Ghost was having a hard time especially.
아니 그냥 뭐 대치고 막 그리고 막 간타 갇혀서 패배하기도 하고 뭐.
좀 빨리 싸워달라고.
It was a situation where we were just worried about getting the fight in,
빠진다고.
and that's all we were worried about.
그 이후에 시원하게 싸움을 잘 열어서 승리한 것 같습니다. 그리고 또 빼놓을 수 없는 질문이죠. 오늘은 드셨나요?
Another question that we can't go without asking. Did you eat chicken again? Today.
아직 못 근데 진짜 솔직하신 것 같아요.
오늘은 한 번쯤은 좀 먹어야죠.
I think we need one bucket of chicken today. That's all I can say.
네, 맛있게 먹을 수 있을 것 같습니다. 그러면 지금 응원해주고 계시는 팬 여러분들.
So you see out there fans cheering for you. You want to say something to them.
저희가 지금 좀 확실히 좋은 분위기로 이끌어 나가고
Right now we're on a pretty good roll.
지금까지는 좀 확실히
And right now we're wanting to continue this streak.
네.
팀 상대로 이겼는데
But you know, as you guys know, it wasn't the toughest of oppositions, and we are facing tougher oppositions in the games to come. We just want to continue to support us so that we can continue to perform better. So that's standard interview. Back over to you guys.
Thank you very much, Joel, for the translation. So, you know, have your pre-meal, your pre-game rather, chicken. Always got to be ready.
We didn't have ours, but we made it. We just about stuck at the landing. That was hard to say for some reason. And you can raise your roosters in Twitch chat because they won. The BBQ Olivers, they won. It wasn't the cleanest. I think the casters were talking about the lack of decisive play, especially when they had a big lead. But Bless kind of put the game on its back, killed the turrets. Probably saved us about 10 to 15 minutes more posturing around the turrets.
I still gotta love BBQ Bless as a name. It's pretty great. But with that win, as stated, BBQ will inch out above Samsung, have +3 on their match score compared to the +2 of Samsung. But we'll be seeing them just in a little bit. They'll be playing at the start of next week when they take on Kongdoo Monster. So you have to expect that we'll probably just see Samsung inch right back ahead of Kongdoo. Or ahead of BBQ. But our next match is Afrika Freaks versus Jin Air Green Wings. Of course, that one, we're going to have a little bit of a break. As always, it starts at 8 p.m. here in Korea. Currently, it's 7:10 p.m. So 15 minutes on the clock. Go ahead, get yourself a snack, get yourself some fried chicken. Yeah, get ready for that next set, because that's going to be an interesting one to see. Afrika, they've been faltering a little bit here. Marin seeming like he's got to, trying to put the team on his back as best as possible, but still bringing out these interesting picks like Renekton. So I'm excited to see if Afrika can close out early over Jin Air, or if Jin Air will finally get a win on the board.
Early and Jin Air do not go together, Achilles. It's going to be a late one, guys. Come join us, though.
Well, get ready. Get an energy drink, because it very well will be a long series we have to expect. But we'll be back in 50 minutes. We'll see you.